Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode. In today's episode, in Team Season Preview 30 out of 32, I was joined by Arizona Cardinals fans Ollie Kent and Sam Morgan as we preview the team's upcoming season. Ollie discusses Kyler Murray.
It's about not hurting the team this year.
Sam discusses Marvin Harrison Jr. going into his second year in the NFL.
I think he's got all the right tools there. He's got a family in the background. He's gone and done the right thing.
And both Sam and Ollie predict their team's overall record in our win, loss or tie segment. Hope you all enjoy. Hello and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast for once again another team season preview, team 30 out of 32, and today's team of focus is the Arizona Cardinals. I am, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, with two returning guests and two Cardinals fans. Our first returning guest, you heard his voice quite a lot during our off-season episodes. Back for today is Ollie Kent. Ollie, how are things? How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good. All good. Very excited for the season to begin. We are edging ever closer now. We are, less than a month away until the season begins. So I think we all, as NFL fans of whatever team you support, I think we can all join in unison to be glad that we're getting some games back. Now, pre-season, I don't watch. I'm not really counting these next few weeks, but certainly when I guess that's September the 7th or September the 4th when the Eagles play the Cowboys, I think I can sit there and think, yeah, we're back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I also don't watch any of the pre-season games. I sort of just catch the highlights the next day and sort of read the storylines. So, yeah, excited for it, mate. 3 weeks now, ready to go.
Exactly. And someone else who's ready to go is our other guest today, another Cardinals fan, Sam Morgan. Sam, how are you?
I'm well. Yeah, I can tell we're getting close to the season because this is when you invite me back. So I know we're close. So yeah, the excitement is definitely real. So yeah, thanks for having me back.
Well, no problem at all. So let's get into the Cardinals off-season. So including free agency signings and re-signings, the Cardinals brought in the likes of Josh Sweat, which I think personally is the best off-season addition of the year for any team, as well as Dalvin Tomlinson, Jacoby Brissett, Calais Campbell, who returns to the team, Kelvin Beachum, Zay Jones, Mikal Walker, Siri Fahoko, as well as Jalen Jones and Joshua Degura. You lost the likes of Daquan Jones, Zach Pascal, Julian Aquara, and also in the draft, you took the likes of Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, 16th overall, cornerback Will Johnson, 47th overall, as well as Jordan Birch, the edge, 78th overall, as well as Cody Simon, the linebacker, cornerback Denzel Burke, guard Hayden Connor, and safety Kitten Crawford. Now, Ollie, first of all, for you, your takes on the team's off-season as a whole?
I think it's another stacked off-season. I think we're 3 years into Monty and JG joining the team. I think Monty's gone about it the absolute right way. Sort of, he's torn it down, and has been very selective in terms of who gets money, premium money up front and stuff. And he's built for the draft. I mean, I think we're on like 23 draft picks in 3 years or something like that. Like he's really gone about it the right way, and he's found some good talent, and you miss on some, but this most recent season is probably obviously the most sort of sexy to, I guess, fans. Josh Sweat's obviously the biggest name probably for a good while that we've had, probably since someone like JJ Watt. And yeah, I think they addressed what we needed to address, which is obviously that defensive front. There's some weapons there, and we can get after it this season.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Sweat is such a great signing because he all saw what happened in the Super Bowl. I think genuinely, if it wasn't for, you could argue if it wasn't for that Jalen Hurts pass Devonta Smith, I think you could argue he could have been the MVP. I think, to be honest, as good as Hurts was, I think with how dominant that defensive performance was from the Eagles, I do feel like it should have been someone from their team. Perhaps maybe not one name stood out overall, but I think there was a collective effort. But certainly Josh Sweat had a tremendous game, and I think he arguably could have won it over Hurts in that game. But certainly, he comes in with 8 to 8.5 sacks in 2024 and a good career so far in the NFL. So I think to bring him in, it's just could be a game changer for his defense. Sam, your thoughts on the offseason as a whole as well?
as a whole, I think it's been pretty good. I know you guys obviously mentioned Josh Sweat, and that's certainly a name that will jump off the page to most. But when you add Tomlinson and Calais Campbell into that as well, it elevates it even further when you probably didn't think it could be. So I think adding that size, in that line there, I think is huge for the Cardinals. I think whilst we spent a lot of time last year contemplating what we're going to do on the edge, is actually all round. Obviously, Browning's still back. You talk about the off season, the draft. Will Johnson at 47, insane, absolutely insane. I think the fact that there's so many people that back players anyway, with the odd injury, and there's comeback players all the time. I just don't think the homework was done sufficiently by other teams, and I think they were worrying about the wrong things, because from what we've seen in mini camps and obviously the OTAs and everything else that we've seen of him so far, he's just going to be phenomenal. And it's a cornerback that we haven't had for a while. When you're talking about Patrick Peterson and that no-fly zone, I think this is what we need to obviously be looking at this point with Will Johnson, and I think that's takes a little bit of pressure off people like Buda Baker as well. Who's probably seen as that person who's like in the backfield to make something happen. So it is exciting times. I think Ollie's spot on with what Monty has done, obviously with any guidance from Mr. Gannon as well. But I think there's excitement to be had about the draft and the off season. Looks like Hernandez is going to return as well, which is great for us. You mentioned Zay Jones there as one of the players coming back, and I think it looks like he's going to lock down sort of that wide receiver sort of free role as well, which again puts us in a good stead for this season. I don't think it's still anything to be like, oh my God, look at our offense. I still think there's some gaps there, but with everything that's been happening this off season, does put us in a good place to have a good season, and hopefully next year, if you invite me back again, we'll be talking about some great picks that we've brought in offensively as well, because I think we'll be set up really nicely for that as well.
Yeah, and I think the offense does hang a lot on the quarterback now. It feels like Groundhog Day. Every year I brought you boys on, every year he gets mentioned in the episode at some point. Now, I don't think this year I can sit here and criticise him, because I think he actually had a fairly decent year. I mean, 21 touchdowns, 11 picks is not bad. I don't think I sat there in 2024 thinking he's the problem. I think he's one of the least of their problems, I think. But I think at the same time, there's definitely still the critics, there's still the naysayers, and I don't think anyone's looking at him as a top 5 quarterback, certainly. But I think there's definitely reasons to be optimistic. But I think also, yeah, there's a little bit where you think maybe he could do more. But I'll go to you first, Ollie. Your take on Kyler Murray going into this year?
I think it's probably his. It's a tricky year actually, because there's two sides to it, right? It's the year that's obviously he's been built for most success. This is probably the best roster we've had in place for the last 4 or 5 years, you could argue. And certainly there's that youth as well, and there's also depth where I think we probably lacked that in maybe the 2020 year, where it was very top heavy, and it took a couple of injuries and suddenly we're bottom 5 roster essentially. Sorry, but I think you say do more. I think actually the big thing for Kyler this year is actually not to do more. I think it's about not hurting the team this year, right? He doesn't necessarily have to play like a top 5 QB. It's interesting, obviously, Sam, you talk about the offense and how it hasn't necessarily changed. I think they know what they want to do. They want to run the ball. They want to play sound concepts. They want to convert 3rd and 5s and stuff like that. They don't want to find themselves in it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, right? And I think this year as well, where we've just talked about the defense, right? You've got 5 new starters on defense. It's had a massive, massive facelift. Last year we needed the offense to be scoring 20, 28, 30 odd points to be able to win games. And so that puts a lot of pressure on them. It puts a lot of pressure on Kyler, and obviously the pass game as well. Whereas I think now, they don't have to be as risky, and they don't need Kyler to necessarily play hero ball, which is where he gets himself into, trying to escape the pocket and make conversions and stuff like that. Like, we can afford to say it's a field goal. We can afford to say, we'll punt and we'll send them 5, we'll start them there 5-10 yard line. We can play more strategic ball because we know we've got a defense that can get stops, can generate takeaways, and it's a different year this year. We don't need Kyler to be a top 5 QB this year. We just need him to be, that top 10 and consistent. I think consistent is the big word. Start out well and just keep it going through the last, back 9 ends of the games, and not make silly decisions trying to chase the game. I think that's where we're at this year.
I think for Murray as well. I mean, it's the first season he's had since 2020 where he's played the whole season. He's had a lot of injury hit years. 14 games started in 2021, 11 in 2022, 8 in 2023. So he's sort of there's a few years where he was, constantly, off the field, different injury issues. But the fact he played all games
and being a year removed from ACL is very different to just coming back from the ACL, right? Those are different timelines. I don't think people necessarily appreciate that. Like that first year back, yes, you've been cleared and you're playing, but it's not the same as the year after, where again you've had another healthy off season. You haven't had to be doing any rehab or any surgery. You're really gearing up, And look, he's not this kid anymore. He's 28 years old. Like he's really embedded now. So, we'll have to see. But I think it's probably the most optimistic I've been. I just don't need him to be 5,000 yards, 50 touchdown. I think he could just play smart ball.
I think it depends on what they're at. Yeah, it depends really what obviously the aspirations are of the organisation right now.
Yeah.
We've spent quite a bit of money. You need to have a QB that's okay, maybe not top 5, but you do need him in that top 10. He needs to make plays. I think if you look back at it last year, to me, don't get Marvin Harrison Jr. if you're not going to try and play lights out, because we missed him in quite a few of the deep balls. It wasn't even missed; it was just ignored. It just obviously wasn't part of that game plan. We kept him in the pocket a little bit too much at times, and it started giving me Cliff Kingsbury vibes. What was the point of having Kyler? You might as well go and spend offload, get a Kirk Cousins. That sort of mold at that point. And I think
that speaks to the injury, though. Obviously, is that they wanted to keep him upright. They wanted to keep him safe. I think the O-line did a good job of it. Yeah, he can move. He can.
I think ultimately, listen, if you're not fit to be able to use the tools, then you shouldn't be playing. That's my thing with Kyler. And I think we've heard it on the off season. They want him running a little bit more. What I will probably say is the advantages of a defense that weight on paper as it stands is that he will be on the field a lot more. And if you've got a Kyler that's moving around and a James Conner, Trey Benson, and you're ground and pounding a defense with Kyler on the move, it's only going to be better for him because they're going to get tired. The opposite defense is going to be tired. So I expect a bit more from him. I think if he's given that autonomy and that sort of more of a leadership role where he's calling maybe a few more plays, then it's all on him. I like Kyler. Listen, there's memorabilia behind me of Kyler. Like I like the way he plays. I like the way he is. I like his persona, that chip on the shoulder that some people just cannot stand. It rocks a few feathers, and I don't mind it. But he's got to back it up now. There isn't any excuses at this point, I don't think, for him to not back this up. And I think we need to see that a little bit more. I mean, we look at what Cliff's obviously done with Jaden Daniels now, and it's just like, okay, so who's the problem? And that's for me at the moment. Like, all right, come on, Kyler, back it up this year. You've got everything. And I think then if he doesn't, it really wouldn't surprise me if there's a QB change next year.
Yeah, no,
I really don't.
I'm with you, but that's why I wonder whether he plays within the structure and he does what's expected of him without taking the roof off. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think last year, you look at what actually hurt the team down the stretch, wasn't, we were missing a 3-game touchdown performance, we're missing a 4-game touchdown performance. It was actually, well, if he just doesn't throw an interception or two and we just make some more sound plays, maybe we 1 or 2 wins, and actually we're a playoff team. Do you know what I mean? And I think as well, you talk about the Marvin Harrison stuff, he's only, 20-odd, 50-50 balls that don't go his way last season, that do go his way this season, hopefully with, some of the changes he's made as well. And suddenly, he's an 1,100, 1,200 yard receiver or something like that. Like, that's not actually insane to say, realistically. Over the course of a 17 game season, Marv only needs, it to fall his way a couple more times than he did last year. And suddenly, everyone's seeing the praises of the offense. You have 2,000 yard receivers and, Kyler's probably at 4,000 and stuff like that. But I do think I'm not necessarily looking for more from the top end of Kyler. I think for me, it's just the lower end. It can't be the lowest of lows. It can't all fall apart because the team, certainly last year, wasn't built to be able to save him like that. This year maybe different, but that's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you mentioned Marvin Harrison. I mean, he's going to be someone that kind of needs a lot. I think he's going to go in as a WR1, and obviously, we all know what happened last year. He was one of the highest sort of touted receivers. He was seen as some say the best player in the draft, and I think he had an okay first year. I mean, the stats were all suggesting it, 885 yards, 8 touchdowns, but I don't think it was that, blistering, amazing rookie season I think we all were expecting out of him. I think it was just a fine season. I mean, I was sadly in attendance for one of the touchdowns in Miami, but wish I didn't see that one in person. But yeah, it's obviously rookie years are always one way. It can go one or two ways for a player, and I think I don't think he was too bad. I don't think it was like a Quentin Johnson level rookie year, or you could say Caleb Williams rookie year at times. But he's had some off-season work. He is now literally came out today that he's now beefed up from 209 pounds to 220 pounds. And if you look at the NFL UK have done a tweet where they've compared the pictures of him last year and this year. There are notable differences in his arms and how much bigger they are. So obviously he's gone out and trying to work at his game. And, I think that's something that he's clearly targeted this offseason. But Ollie, your thoughts on Harrison going into his second year as an NFL player?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think he did just fine last year. Like, I really do. He did just fine. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, sure, he didn't light up as a number 4 overall pick. And I think actually he's victim of what's been a very good receiver class last year, right? Okay, Neighbours, Lam McConkey. He's escaping me off the top of my head from Jacksonville, number 7. Should really know it. Ryan Thomas, yeah. Those are 3 guys who obviously had tremendous rookie seasons, right? Okay. And, normally in a year, you might expect 1,000 yard guy, right? And then the rest of them in and out the mix, right? Okay. Like, it's not a bad year. I think as well, what's not looked at with Marv last year is like, he had 8 touchdowns. Like, that is pretty good, right? Okay. 8 touchdowns. And again, I think, everyone's going to get hyped up about the changes that you see in terms of him working out and all that kind of stuff. But I think for me, it's more just the connection. I think there were just so many miscues last year, or just timing stuff, and just where Kyle and him weren't on the same page. I don't think I ever looked at last year and went, he doesn't look like the athlete we were promised, and he doesn't stack up well against that corner, or those kind of things, or he can't create separation necessarily. I just think he wasn't necessarily on the same page with Kyler, and it took them a bit of time to get into that groove. Hopefully that this year, he talked about the opening last year at Buffalo. He basically said the game was moving fast and him and Kyler were on the same page and that kind of stuff. That's one game where if he goes for 100 yards again, he's at 1K basically for the year if he just has the same year. So I've got no concerns at all.
Sam, do you agree?
Yeah. I still think there was actually, if you look through some of the tape, there are still a few, and I hate to say like rookie errors. Some of the drops, I think, weren't where they needed to be. So I agree. In some point, I think if you can eradicate those, then you're hitting, the 1,000-yard sort of seasons. But if you're with the talent he has, when people are sort of putting him in a position where they're thinking actually he could be a Jamar Chase, he could be a Justin Jefferson, can he be that? If you look at their rookie seasons and how they embraced the NFL, I think that's where he needs to step up. And it's great to see what he's done on the off season. I think for me is how does he back it up? And hopefully he's put that time in with Kyler. And he mentioned it earlier. Kyler's never really had a pre-season. He's been injured. He's been at his first one since 2021. Something insane like that since he's had a pre-season. So I think it's all obviously that will obviously help him get that connection. So it's not necessarily like can he do it? It's expected. It's expected to happen this year. It has to happen. I think he's got all the right tools there. He's got the family in the background. He's gone and done the right things. He's key for me because I just feel like our wide receiver 2 and 3. Okay, you can go and replace those 2 very easily. You're not talking about Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, where you're going, that's Jordan Addison slots into our team easy. So that's the thing for me is making sure that he understands where he is in this team, and he's got to step up.
I think as well, like for me, again, like everyone's going on about this physical transformation. It's never been a physical thing for me. I wonder if it's just a mindset thing a little bit for Marv. Like, he's a very nonchalant guy. He's very stoic. He's very sort of soft-spoken. And like you compare that to other receivers around the league, and they're all absolutely mental, right? They are. They're all absolutely mental, and they're all wired differently. And, you know, Sam, you talk about some of those drops and some of the 50-50 balls and stuff like that. Like, he needs to be going like that. When the ball's in the air, like, it's his ball. You know, like, he needs to have that attitude where it's his ball. He's coming down with it. You know, he's got 4 or 5 inches on someone like Malik Neighbours. But at this point in time, I'd back Malik Neighbours on a jump ball more than Marv. And I just think it's because they look hungry for it. They look like they want it. And, like, you know, I think obviously the team has gone about the characters they've brought in the building, like it's all about team first and they don't want issues and these kind of things. And that's absolutely fine. I think we're at the point now where if 52 guys on the roster who fit that bill, you can afford to have one sort of loose cannon, right? Okay. And I think Marv needs to maybe fit the switch a little bit and just not necessarily become a bit of a diva, but like he just needs to, you know, get it going, get it juiced, like be different on a game day. Do you know what I mean?
What's a good season for him then, in your opinion?
I think he's obviously got to crack 1,000 at a minimum. I think if he goes 100, 1,010 in stats, I think that's a pretty solid season for him, to be fair. I think obviously, like we've said, it's obviously quite a run-heavy offense, right? Like we know what they want to do and what they want to achieve, and obviously, in order to sling the ball, odds are you sort of either coming from behind or you need to be in a pretty comfortable position, right? Okay. I don't necessarily want that. I know it sounds crazy, but like I still think someone like James Conner will get more rush yards than Marv will get receiver yards. I just think that speaks more to the offense than necessarily Marv.
Yeah, I agree. I like it.
Some good points made there. Well, let's head into our next section, which is going to be our win, loss, or tie segment. So for those listening or watching for the first time, each fan that comes on predicts their team's overall record by going through each game and answering with win, lose, or tie. Now, you both came on a year ago for the Cardinals 2024 season preview. Now, the Cardinals went 8-9 last season. Do you boys remember what you predicted a year ago?
9-8, I want to say.
I can't even remember. Go on.
Yeah,
Not
9
bad.
8. 9-8. Yeah, we've had
should have been as well. Should have been as well.
Ollie, what I remember though is that everyone predicted us to go winless.
4-13 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it. So we're not. That's not bad, Ollie. Well done.
We knew what we were doing.
Well, week 1 is a road game, and you are taking on the New Orleans Saints. Sam, win, lose, or tie?
I'll win.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the easier ones.
Has to be.
Yeah.
If we don't open that with a win, and like a relatively convincing one, I think there's going to be a lot of alarm bells going off.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
Well, week 2 is your home opener, and you are taking on the Carolina Panthers. Ollie, win, lose, or tie?
Got to be a win again, but it's more for just the vengeance from last year. I mean, that's what cost us our 9-8, Sam, and being spot on the money.
Really was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Union.
Well, week 3 is your first division game as you travel to the San Francisco 49ers. Sam, who's winning this one?
This is so tricky because the 49ers are all over the place right now. And I'm just going to lean on the side of being a homer pick here and say that we win, because I think we are actually capable of doing that if we come off the back of the 2 wins, and they're still all over the place. So yeah,
I'm the same with a win. I think as well, historically, like 49ers, they don't start hot, generally anyway, speaking. But again, half the team's in the medical tent, so I think could be some good stead.
Yeah.
Well, week 4 is a road game against a home game, I should say, against the Seattle Seahawks. Ollie, win, lose, or tie?
Oh, see, this is where it starts to get tricky, because you'd hope you'd improve from last year. But Seattle have always had our number. Like, they just have. I can't remember the last time we actually beat Seattle, to be brutally honest. I think it's been 3 or 4 years, legitimately. Has been a very long time since we last beat them. They've just obviously had so many changes, and I think it depends what version of Sam Darnold we get, right?
I don't think he'll be starting.
You don't think he'll be starting?
Wow, hot take central.
Whoa, what, you think they're going with Jalen Milroe?
Yeah, I think by then. Yeah.
Whoa, that is whoa.
Yeah.
By week
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, yeah. This is what worries me about that one.
That is a hot take, Andy. That is absolutely spicy.
That is like the what's the level above the Nando's, the hot? You can get the sauce. It's not even on the menu. It's like a separate one altogether.
Yeah, I think. Is it at home?
Yes, at home. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta say a win. We do very well at home under JG and Monty. Actually, to be fair, they have done a very good job there. Yeah.
Not against the Seahawks, though.
Oh, I know. This is where we're going to start differing here.
Well, back to you for week 5, and you host the Tennessee Titans.
See, I think this would be a bounce back game because I think we would have lost to the Seahawks. And I think Cam Ward will get a rude awakening by the big boys up front. So I've got us down as a W for this one against the Titans.
I'm also going to have us down as a dub, Andy, but I've got us at 5-0, which is absolutely insane.
That is not what I was expecting you to say. 5-0. That's a strong start to the season. So week 6, you are on the road and you're taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Sam, win, lose, or tie?
That's Ollie. No, I had Titans. Back to you.
Oh, he wants me to make the call. No, Jake.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ollie. My bad. Ollie.
Here you go, Ollie.
No, the problem is I keep saying it. I'm going to end up at 17-0, but I'm going to say a win. Look, the Colts are just in. It's a shambles over there in Indy. Like, it is an absolute shambles. You know, we talk about which version of Sam Darnold, or even if it is, it's going to be Daniel Jones over at Indy in week 6. So, yeah, it's going to have to be a win, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Okay, so week 7, you are at home to the Green Bay Packers. Sam.
In true Cardinals fashion, we lose this. And that's truly just where I'm at. I think we should beat the Packers, but something just tells me about that game this year won't be our number. They always get lucky at the end, the Packers, with us little late games. I think they'll just edge it. I think it'll be a very close game. Though. I don't think anyone will be blown away. I think it'll be quite low scoring. So
I think they're a solid team though as well. I think they're a solid. Like, they are a solid. They're going to be in the NFC playoff picture, right?
Yeah,
Not in the wild card. Like, they'll probably end up winning and they could potentially win the NFC North as well, especially with what is the changes in Detroit. Right. So, in terms of what you've said so far, Andy, I mean, that's obviously the toughest, I'd argue, on paper so far on the schedule.
Yeah,
I'd agree. So week 8 is a bye week. So, Ollie, in week 9, you are traveling to the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, see, now this is a tricky one because actually, as well, coming off a bye, that is actually tough. And it does depend what kind of version of the Cowboys we get. Do you think Parsons is there?
I think they'll find a way. I think it doesn't look great, but I think every person in life has got a price. I think you offer him enough money, he'll stay, I'm sure.
God, Sam, wouldn't it be great if we had Parsons opposite Josh Sweat, though? That would be absolutely foul.
I think we'd have to redo this whole segment if that
happened. Oh, yeah. Well, just be win. Just be win, yeah. I'm actually going to say it's a loss against the Cowboys coming out of that bye, yeah.
Can you imagine if you acquired Parsons, if it did happen in the bye week you have? Just imagine that first game he plays, it's in Dallas. I think that the noise would be deafening, I think, from the Cowboys fans.
Depends if it's a night game or a daytime game, because you'd be worried about deafening. You'd also be worried about blinding. That stadium is awful.
It's definitely a night one. Definitely a night one.
It's Monday night football, is it? Was it?
It's Monday. It's I think it is. Yeah, I think it will be Monday night football. 4th of November is, yeah.
I think that has secured for me. It's a loss. Yeah, I think it has,
Yeah.
Well, back with you, Sam, in week 10, you are travelling this time to the Seahawks.
We are travelling to the Seahawks. Is this Rivals Week?
It might be. I think it is.
This will be Rivals Week, so there'll be some cool stuff going on that day.
Really hoping ours is nice. Really hoping it.
we just don't beat the Seahawks.
It's
As I said,
very
you said it earlier. We just don't do it. And away, no. And some people that I get on quite well with at the Seahawks, and I ask every time for a favour, and he never does it. So he probably won't do me a favour again. So I'm going to say it's a loss against the Seahawks, unfortunately.
Okay, so then week 11, your first of 2 back-to-back home games. Ollie, you are hosting the 49ers.
Oh, do we sweep the 49ers again? So that is the question, mate. I mean, what we on now? We're on a 3-game losing streak. We've had the bye as well.
Currently 6-3. I think, yeah, you are. I think you're on a 3-game losing streak. Yeah.
I'm going to say that this is a win. I just think where the teams match up this season, I think it showed last year, even with obviously the injuries and stuff like that. I just think where the teams match up, I think we've actually got the edge on them at the moment.
Okay, so back with you, Sam, for week 12. You are hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think we back it up. With another win at the Jags. Jags would have come off the back of some travel as well, obviously, to the UK and stuff like that now. So they start getting a little bit tired. You kind of see that with the Jags. So, I'm going with another win there.
Okay, so then week 13, Ollie, you are on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take this one as an L. I really like Tampa this year. I think they look really, really good. A really good outfit. Probably similar stead to the Packers. They're probably going to win a game or two in the playoffs when all said and done.
Okay, so then week 14, Sam, you are hosting the Los Angeles Rams.
This is a tough one for me, actually.
Is Stafford alive? Is Stafford alive at that point, Sam?
I don't think he is. It's always a 50-50. It's literally a coin flip for me when we play the Rams. Because we've had some awesome games against the Rams, and we've had some awful losses as well. So I'm just looking at our schedule ahead of time just to help us here, Ollie.
Being greedy.
I'm going to take a win. I'm going to take a win this year. If we've got to be where we need to be, that's the home one, yeah.
Yeah, I back it.
Yeah, that's a win for me.
Yeah, I back it.
So week 15, Ollie, you are traveling to the Houston Texans.
Tough, because again, I really do like the Houston Texans. It's going to be another one on the AFC side where they're going to be in that playoff. I mean, they probably win their divisions. They're probably going to definitely have maybe at least one playoff win. It's tough. But I think if you want to beat them, you've got to beat them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't say that we're a serious team and not beat some teams. So I'm going to say it's a dub against Houston.
Okay, so then week 16, your final home game of the regular season, and you host the Atlanta Falcons, Sam.
Yeah. Falcons. By then, I think they'll be out of it. So,
tricky customers.
Yeah. Bo Nix. Yeah, I'll take a win. I'm gonna be optimistic this year. I'm gonna take the win.
I don't think they're going to be out of it though. I will say, just because of how poor that NFC South is.
I think they will. Carl Pitts is still kitting up, isn't he? I mean, come on.
Bijan will have a good year.
I like Bijan, but no. I think they'll be out of it. I do think they'll be out of it. I like what you're saying, but no.
Well, week 17 is one of our 2 teams left in the season previews, and it's a road game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Ollie, for the final time this episode, win, lose, or tie?
Unfortunately, I think it's going to have to be a loss. I think there's so much stacked against us. The AFC, Bengals, they're probably going to be in the championship game this year, I think, at the very least. I think also underrated that time of year in Cincy. I don't think that's a kind time to have to play. Yeah, that is brutal. The only thing I will say, though, is it's a great day to run the football. And if anything we've been talking about this whole time, that would come in. But no, I think, unfortunately, it's going to have to be an L on that one.
I think as a fan, you want to play the Bengals in weeks 1 to 3 every
Yeah,
year.
or just not play them.
Every
Or just
time.
not play them. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Sam, for you, your final prediction is in week 18, and it is a road game against the Los Angeles Rams. For the final time, win, lose, or tie?
I think this is a loss for me. I don't think we'll have this. I don't think we sweep the 49ers and the Rams. I think this one will be a loss at the SoFi.
Well, there we are. So that means that you will end the season, according to you two, with 11-6, which would easily get you into the playoffs. How far will you both think your team will get in the playoffs, Sam?
No, I don't think we. I think we just get to the playoffs this year. I don't even think it'll be a one and done. I think it'll just be literally done in that first game. I just think we're still missing something. I don't know what it is. There's still something, but I think what's been done this year, as we mentioned earlier on the off season, is enough to suggest we can get to the playoffs this year, and how weak our division is as well.
And I think it's the plan, though, isn't it? I think that's always been sort of the game plan for sustained success as well. I think the one thing I will say that's pivotal in that game, even if it is a loss, is Kyler does have to play well in that game, right? Because we've spoken a bit earlier about, is there a change? The roster will be in some of the best shape it's been in, right? If you really wanted to add some juice, you free up 50 mil extra, 60 mil extra in cap, right? And you've got to start signing some of these guys as well that we've got on the roster already. Is that what you do? Or do you even maybe look at a trade or something like that? I think it's a shame, because if we'd won last year and we made it into the playoffs and we'd still lost, then maybe we'd be having a slightly different conversation. But I think the way we've spoken about the likes of Dallas and Green Bay and Tampa, we're not at that level yet, and those guys are going to win playoff games. So I think we'd be lucky to get one and done. I think probably is we're straight out, which again doesn't help Kyler. Like, Kyler's going to need to have a good game in that loss, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let's head to our final section, which is going to be Fan Asks Fan. So a brand new segment on this year's off-season predictions. Each fan that comes on asks a question to the next guest, whilst also answering a question from the previous guest. Now, there's two guests today, so I'll let one of you answer the fan's question and the other one ask the fan the next question. So our last team was the New York Jets, and this came through Jets fan and International Fan of the Year, Olivia Peebles. She wants to ask one of you, which team has the best uniform combination in the NFL? I'll let you decide amongst yourselves who wants to answer it, but who do you think has the best combination of not just the home jersey or away jersey, the 3 or 4 combined together?
I'm a big drip guy, but unless you've got a question ready, Sam.
No, you take that one. I want to hear what you're saying. I've got too many thoughts in my head as to why.
It is pretty hands down the LA Chargers. Their combos and what they can do, and the color schemes, and even just the aesthetic and everything is absolutely top draw. I think Tampa's got some fantastic ones as well. I'd like to see more people do more throwbacks and stuff. I quite like Tennessee's, actually. I think it needs a bit of a tune-up, but I quite like Tennessee's, to be fair. But without a shadow of a doubt, I think it's LA. Yeah.
Controversial about Tennessee, though, because to me, it should
the
belong
Oilers.
to
Yeah.
Houston. Yeah, but yeah, I listen. I agree with you. I agree with all those points. Those are the sort of names I had in my head. I still don't think I can ever look past, though, the Raiders, because it's so iconic. If you think about how well they do it, it's just so iconic.
It's just so boring to me.
It's clean. I get it. I know. I hear it. But it's just so clean, like how it is. But yeah, I like your answers there. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they are the best. I think in terms of throwback, I think the Patriots one is actually really good. But I will say one team I think sort of in that top 5 for me, chatter is I do like the Cowboys jerseys. I love the navy one. I think the white one is iconic, and the star on the helmet. I do believe that it's one of my favorite jerseys are the Cowboys.
They've got to update the pants. They've still got the drawstring shoestring pants. Yeah, they've got to update the pants. That's what they need.
Well, I think as long as they fix that sort of greenhouse sun reflection on the veil, I think that should be their first target, rather than making Netflix documentaries, rather than arguing with their own players. Jerry Jones should be focusing on fixing that thing because they can't help.
Just needs a blind. Just needs a blind, like a massive. Like it doesn't even need to be like a complex fit. Like just get a blind, like a massive blind.
Well, Sam, now it's your honour to ask our next guest a question. So yeah, Sam, take it away. What is your question?
Do I know what the team is by chance?
I would love to tell you, but some guests have failed in the past, so I don't want to give you a team and then they don't do it.
Okay. I'll ask this then. Who will win rookie MVP on the offense this season?
Nice. Well, that was actually a question asked in our last season preview. It was asked to our last guest, Olivia, who answered a question from our Colts fan, JP McGrath. She went for Ashton Genty. So I'm intrigued to know who our next guest has. Only 2 teams left, so it is going to be one of the Bengals or the Buccaneers, and you'll find out next who that is as we close up on these season previews. But this is where we end today's episode. So first of all, Sam, thank you for coming on.
Cheers, mate. Really appreciate it. Always have fun, and actually remember that there are other Arizona Cardinals fans out there, which appreciate it, Ollie.
And Ollie,
I'm sure he'll find the other 2 someday.
Yeah.
Generally, I really think if I looked at teams who were represented at London games, I think the Colts is the least by a mile. I think the Colts, the Titans, but I would say if you look at a top 5 least represented teams in London games, I genuinely think the Cardinals might be in that top 5.
Makes sense. It's because we haven't got any like sort of real history and like national grab. Do you know what I mean? You've got to win a couple of Super Bowls and create a generation of people who pay attention to you, essentially.
And you got Larry Fitz back in the day. You could have Kurt Warner could have appealed to people. Maybe Emmitt Smith fans might have jumped on that bandwagon for a tiny bit. But yeah, I think as well. I always think there's teams like the Browns and Cincinnati before Burrow came in. These are not tourist destinations for fans, and they weren't good either. Whereas Arizona it's such a nice place, and people do go on holiday to Arizona, play golf as well. It's a great golfing destination. So I'm surprised there's not more fans just for that. People.
The time zone's not kind. The time zone isn't kind to it. No.
Time zone, but also you mentioned obviously the destination, but a lot of people from Texas that move out to that side as well. All the fans become over there. The LA guys. Yeah. It's also it's a bit of an issue on that side of things. But at the end of the day, as we all know, win games and the new generation comes through. So hopefully for us, obviously that's all we got to do is be a better organisation. Started doing things like that. Obviously on the field, we've offered these new services where people can be on a similar plane to what the players are to games now. So I think there's lots of work going into it. Michael Bidwell's taken a lot of heat. So hopefully we grow in the next few years for sure.
And Ollie, good to have you on as well.
No, I appreciate it always.
Well, there we are. That is the end of our episode, our Arizona Cardinals 2025 season preview. I have been, as ever, your host today, Andy Davis, with our guests in Cardinals fans, Sam Morgan and Ollie Kent. And we'll see you guys for our next team season preview. Take care.